Where did the hummingbirds go?
That's we get questions twice a year about hummingbirds. Where are they? When are they going to show up? They were here last year, and what happened to them? And then we get that one this time of year. And of course, hummingbirds, for the most part, spend our winter in Central America, where it's warm and they can get their food sources, the nectar and the insects. They're a little harder to find up here. Not everybody in the country loses their hummingbirds. There are some specific locations, various southern states on coastal areas. Southwest California has a resident population of hummingbirds. But for the most part, we lose our hummingbirds this time of year. They're already moved through. There might be a few stragglers still coming through, but we're early November. So they're mostly out of here. They're hanging out down in Costa Rica and other Central American countries. Like I said, staying warm and enjoying it. They'll be back later for the breeding season. They come up here to raise their young. When it's over with, they go down there to vacation.
Now, you do keep your feeders out all year, right?
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. We say all these birds migrate out of here. Not exactly, not all of them. Some of the birds hang around. And people say, oh, it's terrible, they're going to die. Not necessarily. They know what they're doing. For the most part, our ruby throats move out and go down. You might find some in various southern coastal Georgia and Florida. But the birds in the west, a lot more species than we have here just in the east, some of those birds move to the east to spend the winter. They can get by just fine. They can find enough insects and things to eat. That's what they live on. They don't live on nectar,
right?
But they're not going to find much of it in the winter. They live on insects, and they'll find the spiders and the gnats in the wintertime, and they'll be fine. But they'll move into this area. Very few of them. I mean, there's a lot of them, but you won't see many because they're so widely dispersed. And we start getting reports about this time of year, November, especially down in December, early January. Everybody says, oh, I have a hummingbird. It's coming back to my feeder. That's the only way you're going to see one is to have your feeder out. Otherwise, it's going to be around. It's not coming to where you can see it. Keep your feeder out all year, all winter, and then call somebody to let them know. Call somebody at Kohl's if you have to, or your local wild bird stores, and tell them that you have a hummingbird coming to a feeder in the wintertime. And they'll get in touch with a licensed bander or somebody who can come out and positively identify the bird. And that information will add to our knowledge about hummingbirds and how they move and where they stay in the wintertime sometimes. We have quite a few birds show up in Georgia during the wintertime. Several species now have been found in Georgia. I think probably 11 different species other than the ruby throat have been found in Georgia, all of those occurring in the wintertime. So it's interesting to learn about these guys and study them. So keep your feeder out. You don't have to change it quite as often, but watch it. Of course, if it gets cloudy, you change it. And put a little more sugar in it in the wintertime when it's cold. That way, when it gets down below freezing, you'll have a lower freezing temperature.
Oh.
Water freezes at about 32 degrees. Sugar water will freeze down around 25 to 26 degrees. But if you add a little more extra sugar to it, don't recommend that during the regular time, but in the wintertime, it'll drop it on down to maybe 22, 23 degrees before it'll actually even get slushy.
Interesting.
So it makes it easy to maintain.
So do you actually see hummingbirds? I know you keep them out, and I haven't been good about keeping them out since I stopped seeing the hummingbirds. But do you actually get a chance to see them and enjoy them with having the feeders out?
In the wintertime?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I've been fortunate enough to have, I think, 3 different birds winter with us. I haven't had any stay the entire year. Sometimes they're just moving through like they do in regular migration. They may come stay a day or two in my yard and go on. Without the feeder, you won't see them at all. But I've had people around me within a mile or two have them and spend the entire winter. Wow. They'll come in, they'll show up about late November, mid-December, and they'll leave March. Yeah. Late February or early March to go back to wherever they came from, generally in probably the northwest of the United States.
Oh,